Good afternoon. My name is Rafael Leon, and I'm the chairman of the Commission of Chicago Landmarks. On behalf of the Commission, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual ceremony for the 2020 Chicago Landmark Awards for Preservation Excellence. This is our 21st year recognizing outstanding preservation efforts and construction projects for work to our distinguished Chicago landmarks. This is the first year that we have a virtual event, and let's hope that this is the last year, and next year we'll be able to gather to celebrate all these wonderful projects. For today's ceremony, I'm joined by other members of the Commission, Commissioner Ernest Wong, Commissioner Tiara Hughes, Commissioner Lynn Osman, Commissioner Maurice Cox, also from the Department of Planning and Development, and I believe that Commissioner Sue Ellen Burns will be joining us a little bit later. Thank you for being here. Let me also take this opportunity to thank and recognize the members of City Council in attendance. Alderman Pat Dowell of the Third Ward and Alderman Daniel Laspada from the First Ward, as well as his representative, Nicholas Settle. I believe Alderman Jason Irving of the 28th Ward will be joining us momentarily. I would also like to thank the representatives of the community and preservation organizations who have joined us today to help recognize the projects being honored. They are important partners in the city's preservation efforts. I would now like to introduce Maurice Cox, who is the Commissioner of Planning and Development for the City of Chicago. But also let me thank the staff of the department for all the wonderful work that you do throughout the year. You are very important and you make our life so much easier when we go through the meetings, as well as the Permit Review Committee, which is usually takes a lot of work. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff, for doing all this work. Commissioner Cox.
Excellent, and thank you, Commissioner Leon. So the awards presented today are given to property owners of individually designated Chicago landmarks and properties within Chicago landmark districts. This is the city's way of recognizing and acknowledging the critical role these landmarks and districts play in the preservation of the city's architectural and cultural heritage. The recipients were selected by the Landmark Commission's Permit Review Committee. This year's 9 projects representing an extraordinary cross-section of preservation work throughout the city, from the rehabilitation of historic commercial buildings to the restoration of residential gems to the adaptive reuse of several architecturally iconic neighborhood buildings located throughout our city. Each project illustrates design excellence in effort and commitment to the preservation of Chicago's architectural heritage. And we will also be presenting an advocacy award, recognizing extraordinary efforts to further preservation awareness and support by an individual group or an individual. So with that, now I'd like to introduce Diana Cavallo of the Historic Preservation Division, who will lead us through the program. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman Leon. Good afternoon, everyone. In recognizing our award winners, the City of Chicago acknowledges and thanks them for their hard work and commitment to preserve the Chicago's architecture. Members of the Permit Review Committee are here and they will announce the winners and give an overview of each project. Our first award goes to ArtSpace Projects, Chicago Neighborhood Initiative, and Pullman Arts for the adaptive reuse and new construction of the properties located at 11127 to 11129 South Langley and 704 to 706 West 112th Street in the Pullman District in Ward 9. And the award will be presented by Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you so much, Deanna. And I want to echo the chairman's words and thanking our staff, because really we wouldn't be here and we definitely wouldn't be as successful of a commission without you guys. So thank you so much. All right, so let's kick it off. And this view looking east from Pullman's Arcade building in 1883, you can make out the distinctive mansard roof lines and projecting chimneys of the three buildings on the 1100 block of South Langley Avenue. Completed in 1881 and designed by S.S. Beeman, they were part of the first construction phase of the town envisioned by George Pullman. It would house the workforce that built the luxurious cars which elevated the experience of the long distance train travel from the 1860s onward. Next slide. Designed as tenement housing for the lowest paid workers, common brick was used to construct these three sturdy but functional multifamily dwellings. The central building was demolished in the late 1930s, leaving only the smaller three-story minor image north and south buildings. These were used as rental housing through the 2000s and were vacant by 2016. Over the years, doors, windows, and porches were replaced. Metal fire stairs had been installed. Masonry had been painted over, and the north building's mansard were replaced with a flat roof. Working with the state of Illinois to receive federal historic tax credits, the Department of Housing to utilize affordable housing incentives, and the city of Chicago to qualify for an Adopt a Landmark grant, development partners, Art Space Projects, Inc., Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives, and Pullman Arts proposed to create the Pullman Art Space Lofts. Rehabilitation of the north and south structures in line with the Secretary of the Interior standards was part of this project, involving construction of the new, larger central block in between. Of the historic structures, alterations to the north building were more significant. Rehabilitation began with demolition of the non-historic flat roof and the portions of the third floor. The historic mansard roof with dormers, stepped gables, and projecting corbelled chimneys were rebuilt. Paint covering the entire building was chemically stripped. At both buildings, exterior walls were repaired and tuck pointed as needed. Metal exit stairs were removed. Non-historic porches were replaced with new wood porches. 6/2 double-hung windows and paneled doors were installed. These new windows, doors, and porches were painted in the historic Pullman paint color scheme. On the interior, units were remodeled and updated while historic central staircases were restored. Upon construction of the compatible central structure, the project was complete. With 6 units in each of the historic buildings, Pullman Art Space Lofts offers 38 affordable live-work apartments for artists and their families with ample exhibition and community space. 8 units were reserved from individuals with supportive services and 4 for disabled veterans. Pullman Arts occupies the 1,800 square foot community space with plans to provide arts education and after-school programming for the families of the Pullman neighborhood. This exemplary project shows how new and old can be integrated to create a unified project, one which promises to bring new life to one of Chicago's nationally recognized and most treasured neighborhoods. Congratulations to the Art Space Project, Inc., Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives, and Pullman Arts and their team, and the team that put together by the owners, Stantec Macrasti, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, historic advisors. I would like to introduce Sierra Boatwright with the Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives and ask her to make a statement on behalf of the team.
Yes, thank you so much. Our team is absolutely honored and thrilled for this recognition. So thanks to the City of Chicago for this incredible preservation award. I want to give a huge thanks to our development team. You just mentioned Pullman Arts, Art Space, CNI's team. The Pullman Art Space development is a project that we're incredibly proud of. I'd be remiss if I didn't echo your mention of our partners, our funders, our team of talented partners that help us to get to the finish line, like McRosty Historic Advisors, Applegate, Thorne Thompson, Daspen Almond, the GC team, an incredible GC team, Pepper Brown Moman of Joint Venture, and Ludwig. Our incredible architectural team at Stantec is the true mastermind behind this design. And last but not least, I want to give a huge thanks and a huge shout out to the Pullman community and our Alderman Anthony Bill, who provided overwhelming support throughout the entire development process. Our community has been engaged from the beginning of this project and continues to be a vital part of this authentic engagement with this project. The project not only places 38 units of affordable housing for artists and their families, but as you mentioned, provides gallery space for the community to collaborate with the artists in the development and put 2 historic vacant buildings back in productive use. So I'm sure you can tell how proud we are of this project and how delighted we are to be recognized with this incredible preservation award. So thank you so much.
Of course, congratulations. And Sierra, I've also been following you. Congratulations on your Cranes 40 Under 40 as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes, and thank you, Sierra. Our next award goes to Thor Equities for the rehabilitation and new construction of the properties located at 905 West Fulton Market in the Fulton-Randolph Market District in the 27th Ward. And this award will be presented by Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you again, Deanna. The Fulton-Randolph Market District was designated a Chicago landmark in 2015. The district is at the heart of an area west of the Loop that has seen extensive developments in the past few years, including a great deal of high-density new construction. Developers of the 1905 West Fulton project purchased 4 buildings at 216 through 232 North Peoria. The 2 one-story non-contributing buildings at the corner of Peoria and Fulton were demolished. The 2 larger masonry structures, 216 and 226, showed the wear and tear of having been used for meat packing for well over a century, and their rehabilitation posed some challenges. The building in 216 was originally a 2-story structure built in 1894. With additional bays, and the 3rd floor likely added in 1907 by the Chicago Butchers Packing Company. Although original windows and storefronts were gone, the building retained the historic face brick facade with expressed piers, recessed spandrels, corbelled brick, arch detailing, and arcaded cornice. The rear of the building had been used for smoking meat, and fire damage necessitated its demolition. The remaining structure was reinforced and the rear was rebuilt. At the front facade, non-historic infill was removed and the non-original parapet deconstructed. Masonry was cleaned and repaired, and the distinctive historic parapet rebuilt. New 6/6 double hung windows, compatible storefronts, and partial canopy were installed. The 3-story structure at 226 was constructed prior to 1916 and used as the Supreme Packing Company and the Chicago Butchers Packing Company. The front facade retained most of the historic face brick, but only a small section of the original corbelled parapet detailing remained. Window openings were infilled and no original storefronts remained. The building's heavy timber framing and load-bearing masonry walls had suffered extensive deterioration from decades of exposure to water during the processing of meat. Due to the structural problems, this has created substantial frame and load-bearing portions of the structure had to be replaced, but the significant front facade remained. Non-historic infill was removed and the double hung windows installed in the upper floors and the new storefront system at the ground level. At the top, the non-original elevator enclosure and parapet were removed and a new parapet built in a historic configuration. Remaining brick was cleaned and repaired as needed. To the north, at 1905 West Fulton, a compatible new 4-story masonry building was constructed. The building was complementary to the simple grid configuration defining the window openings. Though not visible to the exterior, the floors of the new building continued through the adjacent structures, creating larger floor plates that could be served by single core of elevators and stairs. The partial 5th floor on the new structure also was contiguous with the new rooftop additions of the historic structures, with decks and planting beds for green roofs filling the substantial setbacks. Typical to the Fulton Randolph Market District, hardworking industrial buildings had seen over a century of heavy use, and alterations presented challenges in adaptive reuse. The development team put together by Thor Properties met these challenges to create an impressive result. 2 historic structures were extensively rehabbed, including the return of their facades and their historic appearance. At the same time, sympathetic new construction provided additional square footage. In an area where redevelopment pressure remains intense, this project shows how historic structures can be integrated into more expansive schemes. Congratulations to Thor Equities and the entire project team, including Hartstarn Pluckert Architecture, engineers Ymca and Forefront, and Summit Design Build. Rachel Killian from Hartstarn Pluckert, I'm apologizing if I'm butchering these names. Pluckert Architecture would like to speak on behalf of the project. Mrs. Killian?
Thank you so much, Tiara. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to the Commission on Chicago Landmarks for this prestigious honor. My name is Rachel Killian, and I had the pleasure of being the project manager for 905 West Fulton. This project was truly a labor of love, and we wouldn't have gotten here without our fantastic team, who I'd like to acknowledge and thank now. Our clients, Mondelez International and Thor Equities, our incredible design and construction team, Summit Design Build, Forefront Structural Engineers, Ymca, Space Co., and the Cornerstone Permit Company. And of course, our wonderful architectural and interiors team at HPA, who helped bring the vision to life. Jim Plunkard, Paul Alessandro, Araceli Navarez, Sophie Bidek, Bill Wagner, Stephen Marcus, Krista Weir, Candace Spotted Elk, and also Carol Moy. We're really proud of our work in the Fulton Randolph Market District, and we really appreciate the close collaboration with Candle and Hahn and the whole Historic Preservation Division for their continued efforts to protect the authenticity of this and other historic neighborhoods around Chicago. Similar to most historic projects, this project was not without complexities, as Tiara mentioned, but we enjoyed the challenge of finding ways to preserve the existing buildings and showcase its features, all while adapting it to a modern day purpose. The end result serves as an exciting contribution to this neighborhood, and which has become a hub for activity and innovation. The preservation of our small neighborhoods is incredibly important because it directly affects how we live, work, and play. Mondelez moving to the neighborhood is the latest company to take part in this trend that we've seen of global companies relocating to the district with integrated facilities where they can provide both corporate needs and also a retail outlet. It's just another example that proves the kind of neighborhood transformation that can take place when you merge the history of a place with a new use. We at HPA strive to seek architectural solutions that respect the neighborhood scale and context, and we work really hard to preserve the details of existing buildings whenever we can. We feel really fortunate to have had a front seat in helping shape the redevelopment of such a historically significant district into the unique and thriving neighborhood that it is today. So thank you so much for this honor. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And to your team, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Commissioner Hughes, and thank you, Rachel. So our next recipient is Cedar Street for the adoptive reuse of the West Side YMCA complex at 1515 West Monroe, located in the 28th Ward. This award will also be presented by Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you so much, Deanna. For over 7 decades, the West Side YWCA complex provided physical recreation, educational programs, and housing for young men and women. In the 1970s, the complex was acquired by the Salvation Army and was used as a halfway house. The Salvation Army left the complex in the early 2000s. As part of the Cedar Street redevelopment of the property in 2017, the complex was designated as a Chicago landmark. The landmark designation includes 6 historic properties designed between 1907 and 1931 for a range of functions by a roster of leading Chicago architects. The resulting complex was and is a handsome and intact grouping of classical revival and Georgian revival buildings stretching over 2 city blocks. Cedar Street successfully adopted the institutional complex into 260 residential units and 46 on-site affordable units with ground floor retail. Work included substantial repairs and cleaning of brick and limestone, installation of over 270 historic appropriate windows, wow, based on photographic documentation. Replacement and restoration of the entrance doors, and construction of rooftop decks and other tenement amenities. Cedar Street's $30 million investment is part of a larger pattern of reinvestment in the West Loop and near West Side that includes historic preservation. Congratulations to Cedar Street and their team, including Booth Hansen Architects and Method Construction. Mark Heffron, managing partner of Cedar Street, would like to say a few words on behalf of the project. Congratulations, Cedar. Is Mark available?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Appreciate it. This is quite an honor. When pursuing the Salvation Army structures, we kind of went back to the basics and we found inspiration in an underutilized structure with great bones and significant historical character. So bringing these buildings back to life is always very gratifying for us. Bringing the flats product in these buildings is always something fun for us to do. And offering a unique living experience for people with these approachable rents is an important thing to do, especially in the West Loop. It's a great product to add to that market right now. I stand by the statement that this is some of our finest work yet. It really checks all the right boxes from a brand and product perspective. It's urban. The amenities to me, are actually very meaningful extensions of people's living spaces. It allows for people to live outside their walls within the building and then also even within the community, which should be happening more and more here in the future, hopefully. And then as it relates to the execution, I'm so proud of what the team has done here. This was a planned development. From a voluntary standpoint, we enrolled in the MBWB City Chicago residency program. And to my understanding, when projects enroll on a voluntary basis, these planned developments, they don't necessarily meet the DPD typical goals. But I'm really proud to announce that, we ended up at 25% minority participation, 8% women-owned business participation, and 65% City Chicago residency participation for the workforce on site. As it relates to preservation, we strongly believe that rehabbing these buildings is the absolute best form of green construction out there. Obviously we complied with the city's also sustainable development checklist, and it just being a preservation project like this, there's a ton of green stuff to talk about there too. A bunch of work went into this internally at Cedar Street. I want to recognize from management side, Brianna Yugler, Stephanie O'Laughlin, from the field side, Terry Palmisano, Carl Dominic, Keith Wicker, design, Heather Fritz, and obviously asset management, finance, Eric Larson, Griffin Epping did an awesome job. Booth Hansen continues to be just a great partner for us. Andy Weber and JC Perez did a ton of work on this project. I'd also like to recognize Cindy Rubick. She believed in us, believed in this project. Like to recognize the Landmark Commission for believing in us and in our ability to execute here. And then, Alderman Irvin, who I know is here too, had to shepherd this project through a very complicated community process. And he also believed in the project. So big shout out to him as well. I'll close with the fact that, the series of pictures you showed earlier just don't necessarily properly display everything that's going on in this building. When you're standing outside on Monroe Street, you just don't envision everything that awaits you within this building. And if anyone had walked the building or knows these structures before, they'd have an appreciation for the tight, winding corridors and small rooms throughout the building. And although that allowed for us to do some very private and quiet and unique housing, we also had to bring a new core and a new heart to the building that was modern, and something you wouldn't appreciate unless you walked it. So when things open up, I'll make myself available for tours for anyone that reaches out for me, because I really think that this building shows so well and is super unique. And there's a lot to talk about as it relates to adaptive reuse, as it relates to preservation, all those things I'd love to talk about, in person there. So this is quite an honor. We're absolutely thrilled to be recognized for preservation excellence. Thanks for your time.
So congratulations to the entire team. Thank you, Mark. I would also like to thank Alderman Irvin for joining us today. Alderman, would you like to make a statement?
Yes, first off, I just want to thank the Commission for recognizing this project in the community. This reuse came after great conversation in the community, but to look at the final product today is a testament to the work that Mark and Cedar Street has done on preservation throughout our city. So congratulations to Cedar Street and Mark for all of his great work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alderman. Our next recipient is Windy City Real Estate for the rehabilitation of 2218 South Michigan Avenue in the Monroe District in the 3rd Ward. This award will be presented by Commissioner Osmond.
Thank you. The Monroe District, located south of Chicago's loop along Michigan Avenue, was designated in 2000. The district is considered to be the country's largest intact early motor colony from the first decades of the 20th century. Multiple auto manufacturers located showrooms in proximity to each other, along with businesses providing products and services supporting the industry to create a convenient nexus of car sales and repairs for consumers. A permit was issued for the 2-story commercial structure 2218 South Michigan in 1919. Reflecting the large transformation of this once affluent residential area, this bank building was built between residential structures. A few years later, the townhouses in the south would be demolished to make way for the large Hudson Automobile Palace, visible in the image on the right. Sometime circa 1970, the front facade of 2218 was encased in masonry, leaving only a door opening at the ground floor. With this masonry slip cover, it was not possible to know what portion of the historic facade remained, but investigating showed intact elements as seen on the right. In 2017, the developers removed the outer masonry wall to reveal the original facade beneath. Large sections remained intact, while other elements were gone, including the parapet, a cornice, and portions of the second floor window entry and piers. Undeterred, the owners not only decided to retain and repair as much of the historic fabric as possible, but choose to bring back a majority of the historic elements. Working with a preservation architect and skilled masons, the building slowly started to resemble the original bank. Existing masonry was retained where possible. When missing or damaged beyond repair, the architects had units replaced. A few cornice incorporated brackets and panels based on historic photos were capped by a simplified flat parapet. Second floor windows with decorative grills were taken off-site for restoration. When reinstalled, the missing grills, the missing center section had been recreated and the decorative screen was once again whole. A new storefront and entry were installed at the ground floor. In 2019, interior renovations and a roof deck were approved. Windy City Real Estate and Revive Architecture are being recognized for their commitment to the stunning transformation of this 2-story commercial structure. The rehabilitated building now stands proudly along Monroe and plans to house a new restaurant. Congratulations to Windy City Real Estate and Revive Architecture. I believe Alderman Dow is here with us today. Alderman Dow, would you like to make a statement?
Hi, good afternoon. Very quickly, I just want to thank the Landmarks Commission and Windy City Real Estate and Revive Architecture for their investment in the Monroe corridor, taking a chance there and being a catalyst for further redevelopment. I want to congratulate them on their attention to the details of the building and pleased that they can receive some recognition for their work today. Thank you to the Landmarks Commission and also to the Department of Planning and Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmond, and thank you, Alderman Dowell. Our next award goes to Martin and Brianna Barboza for the rehabilitation of 1639 North Park in the Old Town Triangle District in the 2nd Ward. This project will also be presented by Commissioner Osmond.
Workers' cottages are an iconic feature of the Old Town Triangle District and are key elements of its streetscapes. The cottage at 1639 North Park Avenue was counted among these, but suffered from years of deferred maintenance and inadequate repairs. The estate of the former owner applied for a demolition permit in 2016. The Commission on Chicago Landmarks found that the structure contributed to the Old Town Triangle District and denied the application. Owners then submitted an application for economic hardship, arguing that the rehabilitation of buildings was not economically viable. The Commission found that this was not supported by evidence. The Barbozas saw the potential of the house and purchased it. With plans for an addition, they embarked on a rehabilitation project for this former neglected property. The exterior was renovated and restored based on historic photos of the building. Work included repair to existing wood siding and installation of new historically compatible windows. The long missing front stairs were reconstructed using salvage pipe handrails and newel posts, and a new 2-story re-addition was added to create the extra space the owners needed. A neglected gem has been given the care it deserves, and once again adds to the charm of the Old Town Triangle District. The transformation brought about by owners Martin and Brianna Barboza confirms the value of the property and the need for vision to look past problems to see what is possible. Congratulations to Martin and Brianna Barboza, their team including Space Architects and Planners, MBGL Properties LLC. The project architect, Jean DeFriese, would like to share a few words on behalf of the team. Jean.
Hi. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And we certainly are excited about the end product that we end up putting together. I want to thank the Commission, the Landmark staff who we've been working with for the last almost 20 years now, and have always had a pleasant working relationship with. And I know it's difficult and hard work, but it's always turned out with beautiful product, I think. Want to also thank Martin and Brianna Barboza for trusting us with what I always refer to as babies. You know, you work very long and hard on these projects, and it's not always easy. You have to sort of believe in the vision of what you can create at the end of the day. And they were fantastic clients to work with. I want to thank the Old Town Triangle Association, who has also been very supportive in the work that we've done both on this property and many other properties we work with in the Old Town Triangle. Our engineers, MC and Associates and SB engineers, it wasn't an easy feat to sort of repair everything that had been done to this property, as well as incorporating all the things that we did add to it at the back. And we added a basement as well to this property. So underpinning is always an interesting challenge in this neighborhood. Our zoning attorney, Katrina McGuire from Thompson Colburn, and our team here at Space, they included Meredith Vilhakis, Angelica Gonzalez, Lisa Ronsky, Goran Simic, and Drew Whiting. I'm lucky to be the one speaking here, but they're the ones that put in all the long hours and the hard work on this project. So we're excited. We've done a lot of work in Old Town Triangle. It's nice to sort of be able to walk around and see homes that we've worked with, the homeowners that we work with, and the homes that we've worked on sort of carry on and contribute to the neighborhood and the history that hopefully will live on for a very long time. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmond. Thank you, Jean. And special thanks to the property owners for seeing the potential in this property. Our next recipient is Real Term for the rehabilitation of 1425 North Milwaukee Avenue in the Milwaukee Avenue District located in the 1st Ward. The award will be presented by Commissioner Osmond.
The Milwaukee Avenue District includes one of Chicago's most historic commercial quarters. The street reads as a patchwork of heights, colors, and textures. The 3 buildings at 1421 and 1427 date from the 1880s to the 1910s and were each designed in a different architectural style: Classical Revival, Renaissance Revival, and Italianate, respectively. These 3 buildings were previously interconnected to accommodate the Mayer Furniture Warehouse, which operated there until the 1960s. Continental Furniture occupied the space for the subsequent decades up until 2014. For decades, the windows were filled with glass block. As part of the rehabilitation, all the glass block was removed and replaced with new, historically appropriate windows. New compatible storefronts were inserted on the 1st floor, and all the masonry was gently cleaned, repaired, and repointed as necessary. The newly renovated buildings have retail on the first 2 floors and apartments above. Because the project is seeking a 20% federal rehabilitation tax credit, a number of original interior features were retained, as well as including the original tin ceilings in the 1st floor retail spaces. What was once a collection of underutilized buildings is now an outstanding example of architecture in the district. Congratulations to Realterm and their team, including Papa George Hames Partners, McCrosty Historic Advisors. Architect John Young would like to say a few words on behalf of the project. Mr. Young, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're proud of this project. Thanks to the Commission. We're honored to receive the award on behalf of our client, Realterm. I feel like it's always nice to finish up a project and feel like you've done something as part of a team that contributes to the city that you love. And Milwaukee Avenue is a very special place, not only architecturally, but historically. A lot of things have happened along Milwaukee through the years, and I think actually the Commission put out a really a great write-up for the Milwaukee Avenue District that kind of walks through that history. If anybody's curious, I highly recommend taking a read. But these projects are not simple, as most people who are watching this know. We like to make them look simple at the end, but there's a big team behind us. Again, Realterm, of course, our client. They really took a risk here. I believe, if I'm correct, this is their first tax credit project, and they jumped right in and are doing something great. Our structural engineer, Steve Kibler, I've heard his name before here today. Joe Millam and Ed Jacobsey with WSP Engineers, our MEP engineers, LG Construction, and a special thanks to John Kramer, which I think most of you all know from McCrosty, an invaluable resource to not only us, but our client as well. And I want to take a second, if I could, to kind of talk about some other players that are involved. NPS, of course, with the tax credits, but Anthony Rubano at SHPO, big part of getting this going and understood. And one other person that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, and I might be wrong, but Larry Shore. Worked with Larry for many years on many projects. And I'll tell you, he doesn't let you get away with anything, nor would we try. But he is all about the win-win. And I think that reflects on the department as a whole throughout the years. And that also extends on to the city of Chicago. Hal Hutchinson also, these are not simple yes/no answers that are required for projects like these. So I just want the commission to know, and everybody watching to know how much that is appreciated and important in what we do. So afraid I've forgotten someone or many people, but thank you again to the commission. We're honored on behalf of Papa George Hames partners and our client Real Term to accept this award. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Osmond and John. I believe that Alderman Laspada is here with us today. Alderman, would you like to make a statement? Or it looks like Nicholas is here on his behalf.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here on behalf of Alderman Laspada, and I just really want to congratulate the architecture and development team and thank the commission for recognizing this work. The Milwaukee Avenue corridor's importance has been stated here, and it's just such a crucial commercial corridor, and seeing this type of preservation work along it is just thrilling. So we really thank the department, we thank the architecture team, and thank the commission for your commitment to these goals.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again. Our next award goes to the Berger Realty Group for their restoration of 1579 North Milwaukee Avenue in the Milwaukee Avenue District, again located in the First Ward. This award will be presented by Commissioner Wong.
Thank you, Deanna. Known as the Flatiron Building along Milwaukee Avenue District, the facade of this triangular building incorporates distinctive white terracotta with red brick, with dark red and black detailing. The three-story building was designed in 1913 by Halliburton Roche and was built to house professional offices on the upper floors and retail at the street level. Over time, the building slowly lost its traditional office tenants while creative professionals began to move in. Now the Flatiron Building is known as one of Chicago's most notable live-work spaces for artists. Because of the building's location on the six-corner intersection of North Avenue, Damon, and Milwaukee Avenues, it's become an iconic part of the Ywca Park neighborhood. Over the years, the building's distinctive terracotta began to fail. The geometric pattern and classically inspired terracotta was spalling and cracking, with some pieces missing entirely. Although isolated repairs had been made, a comprehensive facade restoration was needed. Berger Realty retained a structural engineer and a preservation contractor to evaluate the facade's condition and develop an approach to prevent further deterioration and repair or replace failing tiles as needed. Repair work included substantial documentation of the building's over 700 terracotta units. GFRC was used as a replacement material for the terracotta, and staff conducted multiple site visits to approve the various colors and finishes that make this building so distinctive. To complete the exterior makeover, the owner replaced all of the existing windows with new historically compatible windows. The painstaking restoration done to this building will ensure that it can be enjoyed by the creative community for years to come. Congratulations to Berger Realty Group and their team, including Mark One Restoration Company, Klein & Hoffman, Erica Berger of Berger Realty Group. If you'd like to say a few words, that'd be great.
Thank you. You did a great job of explaining that. We actually tried to redo the exterior of the building in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I have to say, if it weren't for Klein Hoffman and Mark One, it's not an easy job to do this. And it took us about 5 years to actually realize what we had to do and then actually execute it. Not to mention doing this in the Chicago winters is no joke. And so I'm very grateful for Tom Flynn, from Klein Hoffman, for Mark One, for Alderman Laspada from the First Ward, and our project manager and building manager, actually, who was in charge of the Flatiron building for 17 years, unexpectedly passed away about a week and a half ago. Otherwise, he would be here presenting this project. So I am calling in from California, but he did an incredible job, and so did our building engineer, Zebi Satora, and his team, Elena and Amanda. and all of our tenants who had to deal with scaffolding, really prohibiting a lot of their business for years. But we are super proud to have restored the building. We've done a lot of restoration work on the inside of the building over the last 5 years. And, you know, we've owned it for 26 years, since I was 7 years old. So we are happy to be a part of the First Ward, and thank you for honoring us and acknowledging us. It means a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Thank you, Ywca. Nicholas, would you like to make a statement on behalf of the alderman?
I think Alderman LaSpada might be here just in case. I want to make sure that he can speak just in case he got back. But this is just such an important building to the corridor there. It might be, it's not just one of the busiest intersections in our ward. It's probably one of the busiest ones in the city. And it's just, it's incredible to see this type of work to just really set the scene for the whole corridor. So thank you so much to the Realty team that put this together, and also as well to the commission and the department. Seeing this type of preservation, it's so nice to see a couple cases in Milwaukee Ave right next to one another. It's just really, congratulations. It's great to see.
Thank you again. So our next award goes to the Chicago Transit Authority for the restoration of the Garfield L station located at 319 East Garfield in the 3rd Ward. This award will also be presented by Commissioner Wong.
Another award to the CTA? Amazing. The Garfield L station and overpass forms one of the oldest intact elevated stations in the country. It was built in 1892 as part of a transit line providing access to the following year's World's Columbian Exhibition. The station house consisted of one large room with an attendance booth, a newsstand, and a concession booth. A gatekeeper allowed passengers entry through rear doors leading to the elevation platform. The Garfield L station and accompanying ornamental steel overpass provide a gateway to the Washington Park community and was landmarked in 2001. Responding to the request to revitalize the underutilized space, the CTA hired McGuire Gillespie Architects to oversee the restoration effort. Historic photos of this and similar stations provided the basis for this work. The arts and crafts style structure had walls of pressed brick and terracotta with rough textured brick interspersed in a diamond pattern along the upper portion of the walls. The prominent bow front featured exposed beams and rafters and was flanked by a pair of doors. Before the exterior walls could be assessed, layers of paint needed to be removed. Multiple trials were needed to find the best method, balancing removal with the gentlest possible treatment of the masonry. Test batches also revealed heavy staining in places, turning masonry almost black, so an additional treatment was incorporated to clean the brick. Although previous sandblasting had eroded the face of the brick in sections, masonry was retained to the greatest extent possible. At the terracotta cornice, displaced units were carefully removed and reset. Only a couple of units could not be salvaged, so architects carefully dimensioned the units to allow replication in GFRC. New wood, paneled doors, and an arched window to match the original were installed. Double-hung windows on the bow were taken off-site for restoration. Glazing was replaced and reconfigured to match the historic 3/3 configuration. Steel windows were installed at the west elevation. At the canopy, as much as possible of the original wood deck, beadboard ceiling, moldings, trim, rafters, and curved brackets were retained. Repairs were made as needed to match historic. A new standing seam copper roof, fascia, and gutter were installed. The entrance canopy, doors, and windows were finished or painted. On the interior, where no historic features remained, a new slab floor was poured and the walls and ceilings were refinished with new gypsum board. The University of Chicago worked with the CTA to open a business accelerator retail shop in the space, choosing 3 Southside entrepreneurs as fellows for a comprehensive mentorship and training program. They'll be able to grow their businesses in this truly one-of-a-kind space, which sat dormant for years until this project brought it back to life. The restoration is a stunning example of historic preservation. Congratulations to the Chicago Transit Authority and their team, including MIA Architects, Walsh Construction, and ETC. I'd like to introduce Maurice Fratinardo, a senior project manager with CTA, who would like to share a few words about the project. Maurice? Maurice there. Anyone from the CTA?
Oh, I am so sorry. Forgot to unmute. Well, thank you, Commissioner Wong. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Commission. Thank you all for recognizing the Garfield Station. We are seriously humbled to be here 2 years in a row. I want to acknowledge all the project team members at CTA, McGuire Gillespie, our partner firms, agencies, our tenant, who all contributed to the work. Literally hundreds of people touch this project in their own unique way, too many people to name, and all can share in the joy of this award. Thank you for putting together this awesome presentation. It's really a thrill to see the project profiled in this way. It was noted that it's an unusual project and that the CTA team worked primarily on the building's exterior and in partnership with our tenants, the University of Chicago, who led the remarkable interior build out. I also want to acknowledge the funding that CTA successfully applied for through a competitive national grant program from the Federal Transit Administration that brought this project to fruition. Also, as was noted, this was the station that transported Chicagoans to the World's Columbian Exposition. And I have a quote that I found when I was doing some research. This is from a Chicago Daily Tribune article from 1892. So it's a quick sentence. One may stand on the platform and look over the rural scene, whose picturesqueness is heightened by the beautiful boulevard to which the east curves gracefully and is lost in a wood of sturdy young oak trees, over the tops of which rise the domes and roofs of the World's Fair buildings. So that always kind of gives me a chill and puts it in context. So this project continues the property's legacy of service to generations of Chicagoans. Since its construction, it's been a giver in all of its guises as a transit station, and now it gives today to the vibrancy of Garfield Boulevard and to the Washington Park neighborhood. It's an incubator space for entrepreneurs, the L1 Creative Business Accelerator. So it's very exciting to be acknowledged with all these amazing projects, and I just want to express a very heartfelt thank you on behalf of CTA.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong, and thank you, Marlies. This project is in Alderman Dowell's ward. Alderman Dowell, would you like to make a statement?
I think Marlies has said it all. This is a very important CTA station in the midst or in the heart of Washington Park. I want to thank the CTA again for their investment, and for the federal government, Senator Durbin and Congressman Rush and Davis for their support in bringing money into Chicago for the purposes of standing up new infrastructure in our community. And I want to thank the University of Chicago for their continued investment around the Washington Park Arts Block and the soon to be developed U of C Washington Park Arts Lawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. So our next recipient or recipients are Nidia and Dagoberto Cahew and Wyatt Olsted for the restoration of their shared slate roof in the Pullman district located in the 9th Ward. This will be presented by Commissioner Wong.
Thank you, Deanna. Let me back up to Alderman Dahl's comments. Thank you for recognizing the federal government for giving money. We need more of it. So maybe you could take that message, and let's get the federal government to give Chicago a little bit more money for a lot of different things. So fantastic. So I want to talk about Pullman now. This is a great, great project. Homeowners at 11305, 11307, and 11309 South St. Lawrence took the initiative to restore the shared mansard roof of their three contiguous row houses in the Pullman district. The prominent mansard was covered with multiple layers of different colored and shaped asphalt shingles. Aluminum panning on the dormers hid the original decorative features and concealed their original proportions. The neighbors researched what the roof and dormers looked like historically, discussed options, and came up with a plan of action. They decided to reclad the mansard roof with real slate shingles with copper flashing to match the historic. Asphalt shingles are the common choice when homeowners consider roofing materials. These owners, however, wanted to restore the properties of the roof to match historic as closely as possible. They were willing to invest in dense, durable, natural stone slate shingles, which can easily last a century or longer. All non-historic materials were removed from the roof and minor repairs were made to the decking, ridge molding, and wood dormers. The aluminum panning was removed from the dormers and they were repainted and detailed in historic Pullman colors. A new painted copper-lined wood box gutter system was installed to ensure proper drainage for the long term. The proud owners of Pullman's historic homes continue to repair and restore their buildings, but this coordinated effort with 3 adjoining row houses is a true testament to the celebrated community nature of the historic Pullman district. Congratulations to these homeowners. I'd like to introduce Wyatt Olstead, who would like to say a few words on behalf of this project. Wyatt?
Hello, and thank you all. I'd like to thank, of course, the Commission on Chicago Landmarks for recognizing this truly local-led effort and for placing us in such esteemed company, as well as the Permit Review Committee for making the process so easy on homeowners looking to perform their own restorations. I, of course, need to thank my adjoining neighbors, Nydia and Dago Cahew, for their participation in this project, local craftsman Gordon Hersig for his skill and expertise regarding the slate, and of course to the Pullman Civic Organization and its Architectural Preservation Group, the Beeman Committee, as well as the annual Pullman House Tour for providing the incentive for us to undertake this project. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong, and thank you, Wyatt. In addition to awards for construction projects, the Commission also recognizes larger preservation efforts achieved through long-term ownership of a historic landmark or extraordinary efforts to further preservation awareness and support. This year's Preservation Advocacy Award is awarded to neighbors of the Claremont Cottages and Landmarks, Illinois. Commissioner Cox will present this last award.
Thank you, Deanna. Well, this certainly has to be one of my favorite preservation awards in that it recognizes the everyday preservationists in us all. The story begins on the 1000 block of South Claremont Avenue, which is lined on both sides by 19 1- and 1.5-story cottages, primarily built in 1884. Historic workers' cottages in Chicago are usually pretty simple, but those on Claremont are distinguished by their highly decorative Queen Anne ornament. The tightly knit neighbors that reside in these cottages always felt that their neighborhood was special. So in 2018, one of the historic cottages on the block was threatened with demolition and replacement with a new, larger building. This impelled neighbors on the block, led by Lori Christopher and Brad Applin, to start a grassroots effort to preserve their historic block of cottages. Working with Lisa DiChiera of Landmarks, Illinois, the neighbors learned about the benefits and the responsibilities of living in a Chicago landmark district. After several community meetings and rounds of correspondence to share this information, neighbors were overwhelmingly in support of landmarking their street. The neighbors also convinced the owner of the property that was threatened with demolition to pursue a rear addition instead. So in the spring of 2018, the owners made a formal suggestion for designation to the Commission's program committee And soon thereafter, they hired Kathy Gallagher to prepare a designation report with financial assistance from Landmarks Illinois. After months of hard work, commitment of resources, and multiple commission meetings, the designation was made official in late 2019. The abundant personal time, effort, and resources spent by these motivated neighbors to create the Claremont Cottages District reflects the important role of advocacy organizations and serves as really an inspiration to other neighborhoods throughout Chicago. I would love to introduce Lori Christopher, who led the effort, if you would like to speak on behalf of the group. And afterwards, I'd also like to acknowledge Alderman Irving and ask him to say a few words after Lori makes her statement. Lori, congratulations.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Commission on Landmarks for recognizing our very special block. We are just so excited to get this award. I have so many that I'd like to thank. First of all the 19 cottage homeowners who, as you stated, were so committed to save this block so that future generations would be able to enjoy these homes. Lisa DiCeria from Landmark, Illinois was instrumental in supporting us early on. She came out to our block and met with one of the neighbors and really encouraged us to, stay committed and we would be able to get this accomplished and just go through the process, which took a few years, but we are so grateful that we stayed committed. She put us in contact with Katie Gallagher, who prepared the required report that was needed. And the Tri-Taylor Community Association also was very supportive throughout this process. We have Brad, who joined us on the call today. He's not only a cottage owner, but also was instrumental of working with Tri-Taylor to get that community support from them. And last but not least, Alderman Irvin, who has always been very supportive. I probably doesn't remember this, but I met with him probably maybe 3 years before we even started this process and kind of told him about our block. And as soon as we were able to get everything in place, he was instrumental with his support of supporting all of our owners. And I'm so committed to these cottages. I actually purchased a second one. So I do have another one that we will be renovating and preserving it. So I have two of them and am very committed and honored to be part of many of the buildings that I saw today that were restored. It inspires me now to restore my building. So I appreciate the honor.
Alderman Irving.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Lori, I do remember our first meeting. I think you came over while you just had got off of work to talk about these homes. The second time was when we were, another one bought the house that you spoke of and threatened demolition to have a much larger lot. And after going to the block and looking at this, it was clear that this was a special place in the 28th Ward. So we're glad that you, Brad, and the rest of the neighbors on the block did everything possible to make this a reality. And I do owe you a set of signs for your block, and you will have those as soon as the commissioner signs off on paying for them, you'll have your signs on your block. So thank you guys, and keep up the good work and keep up what really neighborhood preservation is about. And you all have demonstrated that in the 1000 block of Claremont. Thank you guys.
Excellent. And thank you all. This actually concludes our awards presentation. I again would like to congratulate all the award recipients and thank you for taking the time out to attend. It has been such a pleasure to recognize these exceptional projects. And thank you to the members of City Council for being advocates and for joining us today. And finally, I'd like to just acknowledge the Historic Preservation staff. You are amazing. And just thank you for the work you do every day and for your determination in organizing this year's awards. The award certificates will be mailed to the winners shortly, and please let us know if you'd like multiple copies for other members of your team. These awards will also be featured on the department's website. And so with that, I thank you all again for coming and our heartfelt congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Great project, great event.
Hear, hear.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.